Hello, this is Verena Roberts, and I'm with Edmonton Regional Learning Consortium, and I am here today to speak with Bishop Carroll about the Responsive and Flexible Learning Project, and in particular, they're going to talk to us about flexible learning environments and personalization of learning. So could you please introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about your school, and then we'll get started.
My name is Neil Flaherty. I'm the principal here at Bishop Carroll, and it's my second year here.
And I'm Susan Spellman-Cann, and I'm a high school counselor here and have been involved in the flexible learning projects and the flexibility project as well as here at Bishop Carroll.
Thank you. So why don't we start? Can you please describe how your school defines responsive and flexible learning environments, or maybe just tell us your story on what you're doing and how you got here?
Certainly. This is Bishop Carroll's 43rd year of operation. So the school was opened in 1971 and was an original member of the NASSP Model Schools program. It was 36 middle and high schools across North America who decided to venture out in self-directed learning. So where students work at a personalized pace, they have independent schedules. So we have 1,250 students here at Bishop Carroll, all with independent schedules. And it's built upon the cornerstone of 5 principles. So that independent study, flexible scheduling, continuous progress, and the teacher advisory program, which is really the most important of the 5 pillars, and then differentiated staffing. So each student is assigned to a teacher advisor with whom they'll be with for all 3 years. And there's anywhere from 25 to 30 students in an advisory group. And the fact that students or teacher advisors can embed in their schedule meeting times, each student meets with their teacher advisor for 15 minutes discreetly each week. In this way, they can plan goals and from week to week or even bi-weekly, and then they review the progress after that time. And with regards to the independent study, as I mentioned, students essentially work on what they want to work on, where they want to work on it, for how long they want to work on it. And then the teachers are there. The teacher advisors are also subject area teachers, so they provide the supports. So in some cases, we have, for example, seminars that students can sign up for. Some are mandatory, some are not mandatory. But again, that's where the formative assessment piece comes in. So the teachers have a check and balance to see where the students are in a particular unit, provide support, provide discussion opportunities, learn from one another, and then the students then again go back and work independently or in small groups to attain their goals. And then there's an end outcome, whether it be a written exam or presentation or project, things of that nature. But the whole idea is that students move forward on that assessment piece when they're ready. So it's not determined by the teacher. So in a traditional setting, the teacher moves along because they have to get to a certain endpoint by the end of the semester. And at Bishop Carroll, that endpoint could be anywhere along the year for every student. So the idea being that the teacher doesn't have to say schedule a test on, say, Friday, when everybody may not be ready to take that test. Again, you're ready to do so when you're ready. Then that's when you go and finish the project, write the test, do your presentation, whatever the case might be.
It's a great environment, and certainly as a school counselor looking on and supporting these students in their learning, you see that the students get to take a very prominent role. Because the teacher advisory role is so strong, they're not learning on their own, they're learning with support. So sometimes people think, oh, they're self-directed, they can go, their day is their day, and that's true, but they do it under the support and guidance of a teacher advisor, which makes things a lot better. So our students can have alternative assignments. They can think about what's best for them and how to meet their needs. They can look at learning with other people and creating new projects and new ideas. They can do that online as well as offline. They can do it in many different ways. And so although Bishop Carroll has been going for a long time and we are the only self-directed school in Calgary, and self-directed high school for sure. In a lot of different places, they don't have self-directed high schools. So it's very exciting because kids here, they really do learn differently. And their input, their voice counts a lot. They are asked for information. They're asked to collaborate. We are integrating technology here in fun, exciting ways, certainly even in our a counseling department, we are able to utilize technology so that we meet the needs of all students. So we're trying to really grow in a way that doesn't meet just a small number of students, but also we do want to meet the individual needs of that student, but we also want to meet the needs of larger amounts of students. So we're able to do that. And you might want to talk a little bit about even the science things that are happening right now in collaboration. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's pretty exciting.
Certainly, yeah. We're certainly try to leverage as many partnerships as we can. So one that we do have is the Spaceflight Student Experiment Program, in which we'll have an experiment from students in our school on Mission 8 to the International Space Station this coming September. So it was through the Calgary Foundation and through Innovates Alberta, in which we had to procure funding. But the group is based out of Washington, D.C. So we put forth a proposal, and then they provide us with some supports, and then they also provide us help in getting the funding as well. And so we were granted an opportunity there. So there was 10 projects or proposals here on site at Bishop Carroll, and it was narrowed down to 3. Those 3 experiments are now in the hands of the scientists in Washington, D.C. And from that one experiment, as I say, will go up as part of the payload on Mission 8. Another one that we have in place is, when we look at the dual credit side of things, another innovation in Calgary, in Alberta with Inspiring Ed, is the dual credit possibilities, and we've explored that through Mount Royal University. So we have students that finish up English 30-1 in the first semester, and then they take a critical reading and writing course offered by Dr. Richard Harrison from Mount Royal University. So they obtain additional 5 high school credits, and also start into a university experience prior to leaving high school. And then because it's universal in its appeal, it's accepted at all 8 post-secondaries in Alberta, and I dare say across all of Canada, being an English course. And so one of the things we're very proud of here at Bishop Carroll, when we talk about the pacing side of things, is the fact that the mastery learning piece, students have the ability, if they did poorly on a test, or some of our high flyers who need that additional opportunity to retest, they can write a test. There's a reassessment component one-on-one with a teacher, and then they can write a different version of that test, but reassess to determine how much more of the outcomes they've learned. So that provides a lot of confident learners. So when they get to, whether it's post-secondary, they get to diploma exams, things of that nature, they're confident in their abilities and don't feel like they've had to rush on without having a good foundation.
Because we're so flexible, we can do really neat things. So we did a whole mental health initiative where students collaborated with other adults, they collaborated with other students, and they created so many interesting not only online material, but they created symposiums to try to help other students, and really took on a major leadership role in doing that. So our kids are so great in the self-direction that they'll take on leadership roles that I think other kids couldn't in other schools, because they can do that in the day here. They can meet together in the day, they can collaborate in the day, they can say, we're going to set up a meeting and we're going to meet here and we're going to do it in this space. So for example, this week I work with a team called Who's Frank, who does a lot of different things around the school as well. And they met on their own because they're going to do a project in elementary. They want to help elementary students to focus on anti-bullying. So they've written a book, and they met in their own space in the Learning Commons, and then they meet with me and discuss what they're doing. So because of the flexible learning, we're able to do a lot of different things that are like that, which is just fantastic.
Maybe we could think, what I'm really curious, or what I'm hearing that's different, well, there's a lot of things that I'm hearing that are different from other schools, but what I'm really hearing is, if I was to try to define flexible learning environment in your school school is the environment, but the flexibility is how you're rethinking the learning opportunities for the student. It's extremely student focused and student driven, but the environment offers those opportunities for the students. Is that I can't quite find the words to try to define it. It's not based on structure. I'm not hearing that. It's not based on timing, like because you've said it will be dependent on when the mastery learning part is when they're ready. what is it based really on the student, and how do you maybe speak a bit about how do you really get to know the students that well to figure out what they can be flexible in? I guess this is really hard. You've created your own definition.
Yeah, I made the school itself. What's interesting to note is it's based on a book called A School for Everyone by J. Lloyd Trump.
Okay.
So the district itself was courageous in say the latter part of the 60s prior to building the school and creating a school in which there's no classrooms per se. There's office bays that teachers can work and meet independently with students, but it's an all open concept. So you've got resource centers as opposed to classrooms. Grade 10s work next to 11s, work next to 12s. You've got struggling learners that working next to gifted, working next to mainstream students. And as I say, there's no compartmentalization throughout the school. So what it does is it brings up a level of maturity in the students because of that independence. So what we're saying to students is we think you're old enough and mature enough to make choices about your learning. And in most cases, students will they'll gravitate towards what they enjoy first. Maybe in some of those other challenging courses, they need some other supports. But again, because they make that choice throughout the day, they learn how to manage their time. They learn where it is that they need to go for help. They build skills in interacting with adults. So these are tried and true for over the past 43 years. And then Bishop Carroll is one of 8 schools across Canada as part of the Canadian Coalition for Self-Directed Learning. So there's other schools that have taken Trump's work and they've interpreted it their own way, but essentially the one common thread is that students make choices each and every day, and they learn to make wise and unwise choices that drive their learning. The other thing I would say is that, again, we talk about that maturity piece. They've got to decide when it is they're going to work independently or they're going to work collaboratively. And when you look at real world situations, that's essentially with the work side, when you're out in the workforce as well. You've got to do some work independently. Other times you have to collaborate. Other times you've got to do so in a large group or presentation style. So again, those skills then are learned now for the future.
And the teacher advisory role here is key, right? So the teacher advisor meets every day with students in the beginning of the day, and they look at planning and setting goals. They look at revising goals with students. They meet regularly as well throughout the week. So whether that's for 15 minutes or more weekly, they have set schedules where they would meet with the student saying, where are you at? Where do you want to go? What would you like to change? Is there something I can help you with? So really the teacher advisor role is more of guiding that student, but and we teach them through an orientation week how to be a self-directed learner. I mean, that's ongoing throughout the 3 years of high school. By the end, they're very self-directed. And really after the first year, they're very self-directed. So the teacher advisor continues to be there to be supportive, to help formulate what that student's goal, or to help students revise the goal that they've set for themselves, right? So that they can be successful.
And I believe that's the essence of personalization. When you look at the students being able to make those choices throughout the day, we're lauded for the work that's been done and where we are currently, and we continue to try to diversify in our approach. So we'd like to go to a more blended program where students need not come into the school every day if they are involved in a lot of activities. We attract a lot of elite athletes and Olympians and others who have to train or be out of the country for a set period of time. And right now they take the work with them, or we can have exams proctored while they're there. However, we'd like it to be a little more interactive so that they can reach out and find supports from our teaching staff while they are away. So that's one area that we're looking into diversifying our programming. And the other side of it is just that whole international appeal. We do get a lot of visitors from around the world each year. So we host anywhere from 6 to 10 groups, educators from around the world, government officials who are looking for something not just unique, but attends to the needs of every learner. And I think that's where we pride ourselves most, is the fact that there's 1,250 students here with 1,250 individual schedules, with each with their own needs. And so, of course, there's some efficiencies we have to build in order to help them attain those goals. But on the other hand, again, it's all about that particular student and where you are, and it's very student-oriented rather than being very teacher-oriented in our approach.
And we are growing. So even though we've been going for 43, almost 44 years, we're still learning, right? The staff continually develop. We have embedded PD involved in our school, which is different than a lot of other schools as well. So the teachers look at ways, how can we collaborate? How can we make it better? How can we use technology and integrate that in what we're doing? And really, people are continually evolving to get better and better, even though we have a history of doing a great job with self-directed learners. We're continually trying to improve. And I think that's what's really important, because students are changing, we need to change, and we are changing and evolving even in that self-directed piece.
Well, thank you very much.
Mhm.
We're just gonna